Hi everybody, you're welcome to my speaking project about animals. Okay, I'm going to read these questions and I'm going to answer each one. So let's start. Animals as company. In what way does having a company animal benefit a person or family? Well, I think that to have animals is to have a company, a friend in your own home, and maybe not just a friend, a member of your family, but is a little easier than to have a lot of children. And they give you equilibrium and peace and help you with your emotions and help you to have a home, a place where you can be peaceful and love. Next, what features animals have that make them be chosen as a company animal? I think that for company, a pet have to be a domestical animal because sometimes we are very wrong when we uh, want to buy a savage animal, but that's so wrong because they have other necessities and they they could be unhappy and they could be suffering if you take them to your home. So I prefer domestical animals because um, they are not new in this place. Maybe their parents and other relatives has been domestical animals for a lot of years, so for them it's easier to be educated with the rules in a home and not to be always the necessity of the instinct and the fight and fishing and something like that. Um, I think that domestic animals has more probabilities to be helped with a doctor when you take them to there, and you can uh, cover their necessities because and there are a lot of food for them, and maybe you can have food for birds and for cats and for dogs, uh, and very needed of their specific necessities and for a better nutrition and toys and a little house or a little bed where they can be comparable and other things like parks for pets or something like that. And so next, mm, animals used for benefits. Why do people use animals to develop activities such as security? Well, I think that that's not totally wrong, but sometimes we we don't find the equilibrium. I I think that sometimes we use animals that are very good its in their instructions, and and when we give them instructions and try to educate them, they are always right or a lot of times, and they can work with blind people, with uh, other people with the necessities, and even for security, but or in police or for rescue. but we don't have to, we mustn't forget that they have a lot of necessities, not just materials, not just food, and not just mm, material things. They need uh, some other necessities like a place where they could be comfortable, security, and they where they can feel loved and something like that, and where they can have an equilibrium in their common life. So I think that sometimes people use animals just for security, and they forget the necessities for the animals. But that is so common, and that's wrong. But um, I think that it happened because sometimes people see the animals like objects, and they say, "Oh, that's my pencil. I can put it in my bag, or I can use it a lot of days. But when I get when that break, or when that could be useful for me, I can put them in the garbage." So sometimes when we see the animals as objects, we think the same. Oh, that animal is useful for me today, and maybe this week, or maybe more time. But after that, uh, I don't need them. Uh, I, I don't need to fit him well, just to give them something. And when that animal get bad, and they could be the garbage too. So I think that sometimes people, human beings, are not so human. But I think that we can work between like society uh, in that for prevention, and for collaboration, for make the other people to see that animals have a lot of rights, and that's good because that is a part that makes us humans. So next, do you think animals should be used to do something out of their nature? I don't know uh, how to think about this, because maybe the savage animals has a nature, and domesticated animal has an instinct that was in their nature. But after a lot of years, they could dominate that. And so I think that maybe we have to think about the prevention for take care of all the human in my home and in my neighborhood, but for the animals too, because and the preoccupation it must be and in the two ways, and prevention too. So animals being abused. Why do people use animals in places such as circus? I think that it happen a lot, and it's very common. But I think that it's for it's because a lot of people use animal like objects, and they are very wrong, because animals are alive. And I think that circus sometimes is a good place, but sometimes it isn't. Um, not just with animals. Sometimes we could go with a lot of people to be in a show where we learn a lot about small people or sick people, and that was very wrong. But maybe we need more education, more values, and to help each other in community and everyone to to participate in this and collaborate and not to say, oh, you are a teacher, you do it, I'm a lawyer, I won't do it. No, all everyone. and and if we collaborate with the respect of the rights of the animals, we'll found other ways for helping animals and other people and many other things, but we need to collaborate in our society and in our town. Next, what solution would you propose for animals being abused? I think that in the government there are a lot of institutions for watching this abuse, uh, and I think that we need more rules. And there is a lot of rules in other countries, but in Mexico, I could watch that there was mm, um, a test with rules in other states like Yucatan and Quintana Roo and Ciudad de Mexico and Edomex, but I think that in my state there isn't a lot of rules about that, and they let the pets be a lot of vulnerable, and not just pets, not just domestic animals, uh, because savage animals too are very vulnerable. I could heard about a girl that I knew that she was in Quintana Roo and she didn't uh, put in their garden a place with prevention for the weather for their dogs. So she went to the street and she has a lot of funny days in the beach, but the dogs were in a garden without um, without prevention, without water, fresh water, and without a wall who protect them from the sun and something like that. And in her neighborhood, other people could watch it and could hear the dogs crying because they very isolated, and they take the phone and call to police and they say, oh, in that home and the people are in respecting the rights of their pets. and and that institution went to see that girl that I knew. And they give them like a demanda or determination with a list about action they have to do right now if they want to have their pets, and they were, oh, that's so difficult and that's a lot of money, but they had to do it, and now their pets are better. And that's for the abuse. So I propose more laws and more institutions who make them to be followed. And I want to say something more about uh, the domestic animals, because I had a pet, a little dog, who was a French poodle named Iker. He was very lovely. He was living with me about 14 years. Um, he was very, very, very good boy and a very good pet. And he always was in the place where he had to be, and he was very refined with their acts, and maybe more than me. And sometimes when I talk to him, because I talk to the pets and to the animals, I used to say him, I respect you because you are so good, so good pet. But I think that sometimes if you are wrong, that's okay, because you have the right to make it wrong sometimes, and that's that's not wrong. And that, and if that happened, you can know that we'll find the form to solve it, and you don't have to be always what I want you to be, and you can and do other things, and you can be yourself. And he, when it it he for me is he, but my pet look at me like saying okay. But I think that sometimes we we expect a lot of about our pets, that I wouldn't like to be that pet. And sometimes they must to know that if something doesn't work, that's okay. Like with people, with children, and with other adults or young people, we have the right to be wrong. And yeah, just it's a reflection that I I wanted to say it. So I don't think if I do it well, but that's all. And thank you for being with me, listening me. That's all. So see you.